Hey everyone. You see the title down below. And the question I'm pretty sure a lot of people might have is, what is video conversion? What is so special about it? And why is it around? Or why is it necessary? Well, video conversion nowadays can be looked at in many ways. You see, nowadays, a lot of us, and believe it or not, this is indeed true, a lot of us do not have HD televisions in every room of our houses. We don't. We probably have one primarily in the living room and maybe one in a bedroom, one or two in a bedroom, but we probably have, or maybe even a rec room or the garage if we use that as our rec room or recreational area, to watch the big games, if you catch my drift. But the point is, not every household has an HD TV or smart TV or 4K TV in every aspect of the house. Almost a majority of every house out there, at least has one or two rooms that contain a regular television. Yeah, they still contain a regular television that, believe it or not, is used as a part of a recreational area, part of a bedroom, or what have you. But it is true, not every house has a high-definition television. Prime example, several family members that I have. They might have, several family members and friends that I know of, I should say, that I've understood and have seen with my own eyes, have had only HD televisions in the main living rooms, maybe one of the bedrooms, and that's about it. Well, everywhere else, like let's say the rec rooms or the recreational areas or guest rooms, might have a regular television, and that's about it. But you see, that's where, in the eyes of those that have to stay in those rooms or have to go in those rooms and kind of keep busy, especially if they're kids, this is where it gets a little confusing, a little downward, if you will. Because you see, to them it's like, well, what are we supposed to do now? How are we supposed to keep ourselves entertained? I want to play the PS4, or I want to play the Xbox One, but yet I can't play them on this thing. There's no connection, there's no way to do it. Well, that's where video conversion comes in, because there are devices like this one, the mini HDMI to AV converter, that will do just the trick. Because basically, like I explained in my review about it, what you do is you take an HDMI cable, connect it to here, connect that HDMI cable to its device that it belongs to, or it goes to, then you take your audio-video cables, which are right here, you connect those to the TV or to your selector, your audio-video selector or switcher, and there you go. Basically, what this does, what a device like this does, is it takes that initial 1080p or maybe even 1080p / 60 frames per second quality and downgrades it back to a 480p picture. Just like now, that ends up actually becoming beneficial, because then, if let's say you're a family that wants to take all your gaming consoles and say, yeah, let's put them here in the rec room, or let's put them here in the game room for the kids and the guests to play, so they're not cluttered anywhere else. That actually will pay off, because then they'll be able to play those systems on a regular television. The only downgrade about it is not just the picture gets downgraded to 480 from 1080p, but if let's say you have to read a certain word, or let's say you're playing an RPG, or you're online and you want to see who you're playing against, basically you cannot really read the words, because the words and stuff are meant to be seen in high definition. But the benefit about something like this is at least you could take something like a PS4 and an Xbox One and play it on a regular television with this kind of device. Now, on the other hand of the spectrum, there are those houses out there that can actually afford to have a high definition television, whether it's a 721 or or a 1081, or maybe even nowadays a 4K one, in every part of the house, in every room in the house. Whether it's the bedrooms, the guest room, or even the main living room, they can end up having one. But then if you're someone like a gamer and all that, the big question comes around is, what about my other systems? I don't have the other TV in here anymore. I have this. How can I play my Dreamcast? How can I play my NES, the original NES with the audio-video cables? How can I play my Super Nintendo, my Sega Genesis? How can I do that? There's no way the RF connection is going to work with a high-def television. How can I do that? Well, that's where the opposite of this comes in, and that is the mini AV to HDMI video converter. And what that does is basically what, let's say, an upscaling DVD player does. It takes the signal of a standard 480p device and converts it to 1080p. Thus, the picture looks clearer, crisper, and much more exciting. It actually, in a sense, I think to quote Zara Nizarak when he was opening one of my packages about a year or so ago, and he looked at one of the movies I gave him, which was Rio Bravo, and he said that how he liked the fact that Blu-ray seems to breathe new life into these old movies. Well, basically that's what the reverse of this, the mini AV to HDMI video converter does. It basically takes that 480p signal, upscales it to near 1080p, and basically breathes new life into it. Now, the only downgrade about that, in a sense, is the fact that it will not cover the whole screen. It will not go completely 16 by 9 on the screen. Instead, it will be more like a 15 by 9, if not mostly a 16 by 1 or 16 by 0 ratio. That's what it'll do. It'll stretch it out to something near a overall 16 by 0 ratio, and that's about it. It won't convert it fully to where every inch of the TV is covered, because you'll still have these little black lines here, thus showing you that that's as far as it's going to be converted. Now, you might ask yourself, well, Brian, how do you know this? Well, believe it or not, in the rec room right now, we have a DVD player that we used to have here. And the DVD player was an upscaling DVD player. So what does it do? It would upscale the picture of a regular DVD to 1080p and stretch out the picture to nearly 16 by 9. The only difference is it was never meant to be 16 by 9, and just like I said, you would probably see maybe a 16 by 1 or 16 by 2 ratio screen, because you would still have some black bars showing around the picture, thus letting you know that it's not completely fully converted. That it's converted as far as it will go. Now, that is basically what video conversion is in a nutshell. It takes a simple P program, pixel format, and either downgrades it depending on the device you have, or upgrades it. In my case, I have two of these. The one I have connected to my room right now upscales the 480p audio-video format of 480 from my Dreamcast and my PS2, and possibly eventually my Super Nintendo, and it upconverts it to 1080p. The only thing is it doesn't fill out the screen, like I said. It gives me primarily a 16 by 0, if not 16 by 9 screen. And that's about it. That's the only downside of it. Overall, though, the picture looks crisp, clearer, and the sound is a lot better too. I mean, yes, sound and picture quality is definitely better with component and composite cables compared to RF. There's no doubt about it. But the point I'm trying to make is when you convert that signal and you have it upscaled to near 1080p, you also, in a sense, upscale the sound so that it's near the identified sound of 5:1 or whatever that is associated with things like 1080p or 4K. So it's near that point. The only difference, like I said, is you'll get mostly an overall 16 ratio screen and not a 16:9. It won't completely cover when you convert your 480p to your 1080p. Now, on the other hand, when you use something like what I have here, like I just showed you here, the HDMI to AV converter, when you use a converter like that, a video converter like this I should say, mostly what it will do, like I said, is it will take your 1080p signal or your 720p signal or even your 4K signal, convert it back down to the ratio of 480p, and what it will do is, yes, the disadvantages will be you won't be able to read the words quite well, especially if you're online. And two, and this is to keep in mind, it will cut out some parts of the picture. Like, for example, if you're looking for that, let's say you're playing WWE 2K16 like I like to do. You're looking for the spinning logo when it's loading on the game for WWE, right? You'll see it, but it'll be like half there. That's the biggest disadvantage. You'll get some parts. I mean, you'll mostly get a majority of the picture, but you'll probably get more like 90%, 95 to 90% of the picture, 90% to mostly 95% of the picture in that box, in that 4:3 ratio. When it's originally intended to be 1080. When it's originally intended to be 16:9 ratio. So those are the only disadvantages. And again, like I said, even if you were to upscale, the disadvantage you have there is you're not getting a full upscaling. You're getting a near 1080p upscaling, near it, which is why they call it upscaling, but you won't get a full 16:9 upscaling of the picture. Instead, you'll get close to it to maybe about 16 overall. Now, like I said, there are other forms of upscaling and video conversion. If you have a DVD player in your house, and it's an upscaling DVD player, it will upscale the picture of your DVD to nearly fill out the screen, just like I said, with something like the AV to HDMI video converters. It will do that, but it won't fill out the screen. It will upconvert the picture quality to near 1080p from 480p, but it won't fill out the screen completely. It'll come close, but not completely. And again, that's as far as it will go. Now, another thing you have to pay attention to is depending whether or not if your 4K TV or your HD TV or even your Blu-ray player has smart technology in it. Because if it has smart technology in it, that itself could be good, could be a problem, or could be beneficial. Because you see, what it will do, if it has smart technology in it, is it will identify that you're trying to upscale the picture from 480p to 1080p or near it, but it will also identify the ratio of the picture, of the screen that the picture is contained in. So, in other words, it will identify if something is 4:3, and if it's 4:3, it'll keep it in that 4:3 ratio. In other words, you'll end up having a 4:3 screen on your high definition television, and the other side will just be blacked out. Basically, it'll just be your television if half of it wasn't on, if you catch my drift. Basically, you'll get a near upscaling to 1080p, near 1080p video picture quality, but ratio-wise, you'll go back to having it as originally was intended. And the only way you could switch it back, or switch it to that 16:9 that you desire, is to use the wide option on your television. How do I know this? Because I have a smart television in my room, a smart HD television in my room. And when I was recording WrestleMania, I couldn't record it the way I was thinking I could because it was boxed in. So I had to use the wide option on my remote just to get a 16:9 or a 2:35 ratio picture, just to have it near full screen. That's what I needed to do, or near a decent ratio viewing experience that I would normally get with high def. That's what I had to do, and it worked. It worked. Now, again, those are the only disadvantages sometimes when it comes to having a device that might have smart technology, especially if it's a smart TV or a smart Blu-ray in there. That's the biggest disadvantage or beneficiary. Because one, yes, you'll get the benefit is you'll get a near 1080p picture, but your ratio will still be at 4:3. Now you might be saying, well, Brian, how did you record WrestleMania? Well, one, my TV like this one has composite cable. It does. It has composite cable in it. I mean, not composite, but composite cable. The red, the green, and the yellow. I mean, the red, the green, and the blue, I should say. It has that. It has component cable. But the only problem is I couldn't record it in high def. Even though I ordered it off the high def version of pay-per-view, I couldn't record it. So I couldn't record it that way, so I had to stretch it out. Because I had to switch to one channel, I had to switch to line 1, as they call it, to record the stuff that I wanted to watch. I had to do that. Now, again, like I said, sometimes that's the only disadvantage, is the smart TV will know. It will. It will know what ratio to keep it as, depending on the device you have and what you have in there. Now, I'll give you an example. I have a Blu-ray player in my room. And when I played my Sonic SatAM DVDs on it, it didn't go widescreen like it did this. No. It identified that the picture was going to be upscaled to near 1080p, but the ratio has to remain at 4:3. A good example, if you want one, is when you watch Discovery Family or you watch Nick at Night. Now, depending whether or not they've converted some of the picture formats for some of those shows, a lot of the shows they may show late at night sometimes, like on Discovery Family, they'll show Transformers and Gem. The stuff will be blocked in. It will be. It'll basically be seen at a 1080p quality, but the picture will be ratioed at 4:3. So the only way you'd be able to get a near widescreen or near 16:9 experience is to widen it out with your remote, with the wide option, if you catch my drift. But that would be about it. I'll give you another good example. When I was having problems a little bit, I didn't know if it was the cable or what was going on with my TV, if it was updating or what. When I decided to go back to my old gray TV, and you can check that out in the video, Out with the New, In with the Old. You can check it out there on that video. I looked at my basically, when I bought the VGA cable I needed to put my TV, make my TV into a monitor for the time, I had to use the wide option to get a wide screen to check stuff out on my television. That's basically what you would have to do if you didn't want to watch an original 4:3 percentage show with